Hey folks, welcome back to the Big Barn build. Today we've got some welding going on. I'm going to give you a bit of a walk and talk, show you what's going on, and hopefully we're going to be one step closer to getting the new slab down. So if you remember in the previous video, we've just got some areas of decay where the concrete slab finished and all the cow muck sat. And although a lot of the steel is absolutely pristine where it's been encapsulated in the wall or under the slab, there's just some areas that need to be plated over, and our structural engineer is spec'd up for that to make sure we've got a plate on there which is kind of about 150mm below and above that zone of thinness, decay. For now I'm just going to make sure I'm a column or two ahead of him so he can get good access, because I guess welding up underneath this plate you kind of need to be quite a bit below it, or you have to bend your welding rods to kind of hook underneath the weld. I think last time I was here he did it with a mirror, but we've got a bit more space this time. Right, well, I've been a terrible host. Dave's on the last of the 6 plates now, and I've just been, well, we've got friends over, but I've just been making pork rolls and coffee and keeping Dave going. But so far so good. A bit of a windy day, but all of the plates are looking really good now. Was that the end? That was the end of it.
It just seems, because we've been able to go further down, it's just the bottoms have just really got a lot easier.
Yeah, last time you had that little mirror, like it was.
Yeah, I had to do on most of them because I couldn't actually couldn't even guess where it was.
Yeah.
But here, the only one in the mirror was that one up there.
Yeah.
So it was alright. That's probably the best pork roll I've ever had in my life.
Oh, finally, bit of sunshine. Scott's up again, so we're making the most of a two-person team. And some of you will be glad to know that we've been working on the cabin, so we've actually finished the cladding on the far end. There's still one little segment left, and I'll have to leave that for another sunny day. But we came in here because having a digger and a dumper going at the same time is more efficient. So we're just trying to clear the piles of surplus sub-base sand and gravel that was in here already, and then we're going to go around and check the levels, because it's easier to just take everything out, and if we need a little bit more I can bring it back in, but I just think otherwise we're just going to be shoveling stuff around in here unnecessarily. So with that in mind, I'm going to set the laser up, see if I can find a level, and we can clamp it to there, set up a laser, and hopefully it's bright enough that the detector end, the receiver end, will pick up on it. And I just want to see how far off these levels are. We're the datum point for the whole slab. Remember, it used to be high at this end and sloped down by about 150 mil over the 25 meters. And we've, for various reasons, we've ended up deciding to keep the high point the top of the new slab. Everything in the architect's drawings gets based on that particular datum, that precise height, and ideally we would reduce this down, but there's various reasons why that's a bit harder. So it's easier to just use this end basically. So where we've cut the slab, that will be the height, top of these footings. These are the ones that are going anyway. So I'm going to get a laser on it now, and just to see what we need to build up that end, and if there are any big high spots we can just kind of scrape out. Right, now the dumper's finally started, we're going to do a few bits of rock collection. The girls have been out earning their holiday money, picking up anything that's bigger than their fists, I told them. So they're in piles. We're just going to clear that out because they won't compact in very easily, and I've got to then grade it out. But there's going to be a big reveal today, so after I've done that you'll find out what it is. Right, now we get on to the exciting stuff. Yesterday we had the good news that our conditions before we can commence above ground work were discharged. All that was is telling the council what species of hedge and plant we were going to plant and what fencing, but that's done, which means there's nothing stopping us now. But it's more exciting than that, because what it means is we can now start removing some of the external walls and revealing the view. This double bay covered patio area, this wall is no longer. And obviously, as being as impatient as I am, as soon as we found out yesterday evening, I came out with the girls and we did a little bit of picking. So here you go, there's your first glimpse, but let's get on with the big stuff and then we'll get to see the full panoramic vista. Now, because on these external walls we're keeping the lowest course of block work, we want to be a little bit delicate in how we take this down. I can't just go smashing it down with the digger or the big pecker, but they're pretty weak. The mortar's pretty weak, so a little knock and I can lift them out. Funnily enough, some of these blocks coming out pretty clean. Eden, one of her holiday jobs is going to be to chip off the mortar, because things like little retaining walls out on the back side of the barn, these hollow blocks should be absolutely fine. That's good, isn't it? Oh, yes. That's only half of it as well, and only half height. There's one more course to come off, and I'm going to do that really carefully. Maybe even get a grinder just to do a little slit, just so they break cleanly. But you've seen how weak this mix is. Whatever mortar was used is basically sand. So the top course come out really clean. And you know, if you look around the whole thing, we'll have probably 100 blocks with a minimal chipping off. So I'm going to get those done. Some of the others I might just lose into the crusher, but again, if maybe I'll put a wide chisel bit on the SDS, and if it comes off cleanly in one slab, it's a keeper. If it takes more than 10 seconds a block, it's going in the crusher. Dumper is kaput again. Someone actually got in touch, so forgive me for not getting back to you. Someone's got in touch from a plant company and said they might be able to help out with a new battery for Humpty Dumpty, so I will get back in touch at some point. But for now, I'll get the jump leads out and get that started. But maybe, just maybe, I can get this loaded, get the digger out, leave the dumper where it is, get this one down. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is save more of these than I was originally doing, because I know that I'm going to end up needing them. But by the time we've put a retaining wall in for patios and stuff where it's not really tidy work, but these are perfectly adequate. As long as it doesn't take too long to chip off bits, it makes sense to stack them up. There's probably more than we need here. It does also help the fact that the crusher pile is getting quite big, and I really want to leave space beside it so that the crushings can go somewhere. Otherwise I'll be sat on the dumper constantly moving them around. He reckons it's going to take about a day to a day and a half for all of that, which is pretty good. He's going to bring a 6-ton machine with him as well as the crusher and the guy to run it all. So all being well, in the next week or two that'll be crushed, and then I'll have to move it. It might make sense, whilst he's got a 6-ton machine, depending if it's a bucket or a grab on it, he can then load up my dumper pretty easily, or even the crusher can chuck it straight into it, and then I can get it piled somewhere, which I haven't really thought through yet. I won't tell you how frustrating today has been. Did the first dump from Humpty Dumpty up onto the pile, up on a tilt, ran out of fuel, then I spent the next 2 hours trying to bleed the engine through. Just, I mean, endless phone calls to people who actually know what they're doing, or video calls. Fortunately, managed to get it sorted, so thank you Hugh, who's been my go-to like tractor, old machinery type person since we moved here. So I've got those 2 piles of broken blocks gone now, and there's a half load there to get rid of. What I'm going to do now is just put maybe 1 dumper load of the type 1 and just take it up that end and just kind of do a sweeping, a reversing dump, and get that out. I started stacking up the blocks, so another machinery purchase. Actually, more on that in a minute. Let me get rid of this dumper, then I can turn the dumper off, I think. Then you can hear what I'm doing. Whew. I think I do need another load. I'll take a break from that now and share with you what the new purchase might be. So as I've alluded to a few times, a telehandler would be something that we would definitely use on the farm. Ideally quite a compact one, but the smaller they are, the more modern they are, and the more modern they are, the more expensive they are. I had kind of mentally set aside some money from all the grant work we've been doing with the fencing and the hedging and all that sort of stuff, thinking, oh, when I get some of the money back, I can put it towards the telehandler. Well, it turns out that telehandlers, anything under 10 grand's kind of buying trouble. The benefit would be that we could go out and about on the fields and do jobs with it, because, you know, they're four-wheel drive, they're heavy, but they would manage, which would be useful for certain things we've got out there. That said, a lot of the building side of things, it's hard standing, mainly concrete yards. It's all pretty manageable with a different type of vehicle, and I think a forklift, like more of a rough terrain forklift, is going to be sufficient. What that means is when we've got a delivery that can't make it all the way up the lane, or we just have a delivery that doesn't have offloading itself, I've got the ability to do that. And the thing is with a telehandler is they're quite long, so if you've got to be, you need quite a wide area to unload a truck. Whereas I bought a very old diesel forklift, which has got fairly big tyres, pneumatic tyres. So I'm hoping, although they weigh 5 tons or something like that, and they'd sink on anything soft, I'm hoping that it'll manage the lumps and bumps that we've got here. Potentially even once this is graded out. I can't imagine, well, I don't know. I might give it a go. We've got enough vehicles, we can probably pull it out if we had to. But it'd be great to be able to come in here. Anyway, what brought me onto that is these hollow blocks. I've stacked these incorrectly, I know, but I'm just wondering whether I can get forks through the holes in the bottom layer, and I can stack them in, you know, nests without having to band them. If I just alternate the courses at the levels, I can then stack them out somewhere, maybe on the over there, or once the crushing's done, they can go in the yard, and that means I don't have to ruin my shoulder anymore lugging them around. But the patio area is coming on awesome now. I can really visualize it. I just need to get on and get that last course off. So the reason for leaving a course around the bottom is because it ends up, conveniently, it ends up at our slab height. So where we have the walls already, I'll go down to that course, and that will act as our shuttering. Because it's level, I put a laser, it's pretty decent. So that will contain or retain all of our slab. It might be thicker this side of the block work, but they've all got footing, so it works well. We'll show a cross section and some of the detail drawings once we've got it, but the idea is that we're going to go slab, and then we've got insulated structural blocks going around the outside, which timber frame will sit on, and then once we're ready, we can then put our insulation down on top of the slab, and then either a liquid screed or a polished concrete slab on top. We've already had quotes for the concrete, and it's even for a industrial or agricultural pour for 500 square meters, it's like 20 to 25 grand. Whereas if you actually just estimate the concrete material costs, it's about 9. So there's a lot of labor and stuff involved there, I know, but I've got the benefit here of being able to break it up into manageable chunks. It's not actually going to be 500 square meters because we don't need to do the whole patio area. That can remain as sub-base for now. We don't need to do the 2 bays over there, so that already shaves off about a quarter. But what it means I can do is I can shutter 1, maybe 2 bays of steel at a time, and it's far more manageable then. They're 30 square meter bays roughly, and that is the same as I did for the workshop pour at the last house. I think we could probably manage 2, but if there's 2 or 3 of us on it, we could probably manage 60 square meters quite sensibly in a day. The truck can come right in, it can shoot it straight in. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than this for a concrete pour. So in which case we'd be looking at kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 1 week, rather than doing it in 1 day with a team of 10 people, which is what we would be paying for. It still is going to save quite a bit of money to break it down into sensible, manageable bits. Because it's not our finished. The benefit with the contractors is they had big power floats and all that sort of stuff. And if that had been if we were going to go insulation first, which was one of our initial plans, and then a polished slab on top, then we would have wanted them to come in and power float it and do all the real fine finishing. Then it could be sat until we finish the second fix, and then we will be getting it polished. Whereas now we're going to go with the main slab at the bottom, which is more of a conventional route. Slab first, and then the insulation can come in when we want it. We don't have to like rush to get that down. That also means that we will end up with a 125, 150 slab around the building. I can then bring that forklift in if it actually arrives, because I paid the bloke yesterday and I'm getting a little bit nervous. It's meant to be here today, and yeah, anyway, I'm sure it'll come. Yeah, I can drive a forklift in, and we can start putting up the first floor mezzanine. We can move pallets of materials in. Like it could be a really efficient way of doing it, and which is a huge benefit of having the slab down first. If we had gone with the insulation down first with slab on top, I know it's load bearing, but I'm not sure I would have wanted to risk coming in and out, especially if that was our finished, pre-polished concrete finish. Anyway, that's enough of an update. Hopefully it gives you enough to see you through Easter weekend. We're gonna have a bit of time off, but of course we've got lambing going on out there, and one of those ewes delivered a horse of a lamb this morning. He was an absolute monster, and we were out there about 6 o'clock this morning getting him out, getting him breathing. Yeah, he was a big lad. Anyway, that's for the other channel. We'll leave it for now. We have an extra special video coming up soon, which is going to be sharing the 3D renders of the whole design. We've only seen a few sneak peeks. Joe's brother-in-law Johnny's been working on it. Johnny, who we did the fencing in the last video. Anyway, he's done some amazing work. I'm not going to share any in this video. You'll have to wait for that, but it'd be awesome to share it, because I think you guys might be able to then picture things a little bit easier. Have a quick look at the dramatic patio rainfall. You probably can't see it. It's absolutely hammering it down out there, but it's lovely, sunny. Any rainbows, girls? Girls, can we stop playing with the concrete blocks? That's probably not safe. Any more lambs decided to be born in this weather? Right, we'll leave it there. Say goodbye, girls.
Bye.
I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, everyone. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.